Okay, so back in 1999, I was working for it was a company that remanufactured food equipment, industrial food equipment, and I was doing all the fabrication side of it, all with stainless steel. I was TIG welding, making frames, and it was a job that I really loved doing, but obviously had no interest in kind of reconditioning food equipment. So I always knew in the back of my head that I wanted to do something for myself. So I was always trying to think, what can I do that combined this this making that I really enjoyed, the fabrication, the welding, which I loved, with something that I really enjoyed. And I was going to the gym all the time, so I'd be racking my brains, what can I do? I'd go to the gym and train and come out, and then suddenly it occurred to me one day, gym equipment is the perfect thing. I love going to a gym. I love making stuff, so if I can put the two together, it would just be incredible. So that is literally what I did, and as soon as I got that idea in my head, I just couldn't think of anything else. So finally I found a literally tiny single garage that was available for rent for 6 months, and it cost £500 for 6 months, including electric. So I rented that for £500. I bought a very basic Oxford welding kit that cost me £200. I had a cut-off saw and a grinder, and that was me started. I got some steel and just started making some really basic bits. So I was in a position where I could make gym equipment, which was incredible, but obviously I had nobody who was prepared to buy it. So this is back for me at least, pre-internet, pre-email. So I put a tiny ad in Exchange and magazine, which was like an industrial magazine for anyone in the UK, with my mobile number, and I started picking up a few calls, which I'd follow up on. And that's where I got my first few sales. And of course, at the start, I was selling things I'd never actually made, which was sometimes interesting. You take on, I remember the first sale I had for a leg press. It was actually a guy down in the New Forest, which is about 50 miles from here. And I'd never made one before. So I had to quickly try and work out how this thing was going to be made. How was the carriage going to move in the framework? I didn't know about linear bearings and things like this then. So it was a very steep learning curve, but incredible fun, really good fun. I loved every minute of the start of the business. And I would have made a lot more money if I'd just gone back to my previous welding job, but it just didn't give me the satisfaction of starting this thing that I didn't really think was going to go too far. It was just a fun thing to do. I just really enjoyed it. Every morning I'd get up, I'd do crazy long days, and just enjoyed every minute of it. So one of the things I did was I did this a lot, was to just make equipment, drop it off at some local people's gyms, people that I kind of got to know, and just said, well, look, use it for a week, see how you get on. If you like it, I'll come back next week and we can sort a deal. If you don't like it, then I'll take it away. But always knowing that once they had it and people started using it, they were going to love it and it was going to stay there. So that worked really well to get some initial orders. So as time went on, probably maybe 5 years into the business, this would have been about 2004. I started taking on people, because for the first year it was just me on my own. So we started employing people. I always used to say we, even for years when it was just me, it was always we as the company. But I started taking on people and slowly expanding, moving to slightly bigger premises, and then thinking about branding. So branding from early on was a big thing to me. It was something I always wanted to get right. And finally we went through a few different logos and styles of brand, but actually finally the logo we've got now is actually is based on Arnold's rear double bicep pose. And the Watson name as well, at the beginning, was always supposed to be a temporary thing. My plan was always to come up with some clever name that would convey what we're all about. But I'm so glad now I never did that. I'm so glad I stuck with the Watson name, because I think that's one of the best things any company can do, is to put your own name on there, because it's your name, and you work so hard to make sure your reputation and everything is perfect. And I think it's a great way of keeping you on track and making sure you give the customers the absolute best you possibly can. So we got to a point around 2008 where we were exporting a reasonable amount of equipment, but we were having issues with other stuff we were sending with our kit, such as dumbbells. Always cause a big issue where we'd have all our equipment ready to go, the container was booked to come in and ship everything, but we were let down on dumbbells. So maybe we'd have a complete set, but the 37.5s were missing or something. This caused endless problems. So I had the idea to start making our own dumbbells. And I think at the time, to make dumbbells within the UK seemed a bit of an odd thing to do, because they were coming in so cheaply from China, rubber coated, and all the dumbbells you could imagine. And a dumbbell's a dumbbell, is what is the thought back then. But I thought we're starting making our own dumbbells. It would be a good thing to do. It would at least solve the problem from us having to wait for stuff coming into stock. We'd have control, and we can make sure they're ready for when we ship. And it was all around the same time that I met Charles Poliquin. And Charles put me on a totally different path with the dumbbells. My plan was to make heavy-duty dumbbells that looks okay and did the job, would be indestructible. But Charles then got me onto the revolving handles and the thick grip, and how they could be customized to suit people's gyms and their own logos. All things that I remember at the time thinking, I don't know, I just don't know if it's a bit too much. But of course, Charles was absolutely right, and they were a hit from the start. And we've evolved them over the years, but always stuck to the same basic three bolt design, and they're obviously one of our best-selling products. So I think we've always done well, because we completely stick to our core values. Everything is about the customer. Everything is focused on what the customer is going to get from not just the products, but the whole buying experience. We're determined to always be improving, always listening to the feedback the customers give us, and just using that to make us better each month and year. So we're now just in the process of building our new factory, which will double our capacity and allow us to keep up with the demand of what's coming in, which is growing all the time.